Vintage Magic. Game, collect, invest. For more information about our consulting and professional services, visit vintagemagic.com.
All right, guys, welcome back. Welcome back. It's me, Daniel, with vintagemagic.com. It's Finance Friday, so that means we're going to talk about financial topics. All right, let's get right pumped up. Diet Coke, everybody. Anybody have a case of this? You can send it to me as a gift. P.O. box below. I appreciate it very much. Thank you so much. All right. So good. All right, let's talk about it. So the topic today is going to be all about the old school Magic market, vintage cards. I know Rudy from Alpha Investments has blobbed about you know, the market's gone down. There's a problem with the market. Something's going on. What the hell's going on? So let's discuss. It made me really realize that I think a lot of you who have not watched the videos in the past, I've kept saying it almost every single year, that this time of year, the market liquidity for everything is pretty low. And what I mean by that is that this time of year, and for those of you who are new to the channel, who don't understand kind of how the cyclical market works, people that are playing old school, you know, who are kind of enjoying the tournament season for old school, stuff like that, they generally need some money during this time of year, the holiday season. And you're probably wondering, well, isn't the holiday season supposed to be the biggest retail buying, shopping thing for things all in general, games and toys for your kids? Yeah, that's true for everything but really Magic older cards. And the reason why that's the case is because this time of year, people have to start selling some of their stuff to basically, you know, pay off their credit card bills they've been buying gifts for their family, their kids. Doesn't matter what it is. For their wife, I mean, their wife's probably looking at them like, well, where's my stuff? So the old school cards, the alpha, beta, unlimited, dual lands, whatever you want to call it, has had a challenged time. I'd probably say the last 6 months for sure, but the last year in general, it's been kind of wonky. And the reason why it's probably been like that, it's because people have now been expending all of their cash, and they're pretty much at the point where it's like, well, I got to pay off the credit card bills, or hey, I got this extra Magic cards, extra investments that I thought they would go up, and they're not really going anywhere. So I'm going to liquidate. I'm going to free some cash flow up and go on to the next thing. So people are all concerned because a lot of investors, you got to understand, a lot of investors, let's be crystal clear on how this is happening. They're very, very short on Magic and older stuff. They have their piles of cards that they want to play with. That's fine. But then there's investors who are just purely investors who are looking for short-term gains, looking for, you know, price spikes and then sell a position and basically get their stuff for free, right? That type of scenario. And that type of thing hasn't occurred for these older cards. And I think I've said this before, like the older cards weren't ever going to do this. Older cards were always slow and steady wins the race. It's always been, you know, slow growth over time. And this like gigantic Saurus like jump the last few years has absolutely been nuts. And so people don't understand, like, yeah, it's not always going to happen. It's always not going to happen. One second, let me check the focus here. You know, that's just the way markets work. Markets have to grow. They have to develop over time. And there has to be a way for people to have what I call organic growth. Things can't just be planted and laid out there and hoping that they're just going to grow. Things have to foster and grow over time. They have to flourish and nourish over time. Over time, that's how growth works for financial markets. It's not just some buyout of some weird guy doing a pyramid scheme or do some random thing. It has to be financial organic growth. Clearly, people don't understand this. They think that the market should be and always be going up fast. They think a market should have to grow fast. Otherwise, there's a problem. And that's what the problem is with this market, is that people don't understand that things don't grow super fast all the time. Sometimes there's a petal. Sometimes it starts with a petal. I think that, actually it starts with a seed. It starts with a seed and some kind of knowledge about just, sometimes the seed has to grow and become a petal. And then the petal becomes a flower. And then it becomes like a Black Lotus or something. I mean, that's what happens. These type of things have to grow over time. And I always wonder, do people understand that phenomenon? It has to grow somewhere. You can't just go borrow from your credit card at 20% or whatever, expect like 100% growth within, the year you're borrowing, and it's going to happen every time. It doesn't happen that way. Things have to work organically. I still understand that. So I think the biggest problem with the entire process of all the older cards has always been that people are overextended. People always say, well, I'm just going to buy one card. No, I'm going to buy 4. No, I'm going to buy 8. They just keep buying more and more cards, and it's an addiction. In a way, it feels like, it's almost like being a part of something and buying more of something is an addiction. And then they have extras of so much, and then you see them selling. And that happens a lot. There's a lot of people out there, and I think some of you watching this video are part of that addiction, have a lot of these Magic cards just laying around, and they're worth something. You have extra strip mines. You saw Mishra's Factories go down. I'm naming cards that have all declined. Transmute Artifact, Power Artifact, the Archaeologist Guide from Antiquities. Bazaar of Baghdad hasn't really been going anywhere. Library of Alexandria, Recall from Legends. Cards that were going up pretty good, like Living Plane. Just reserveless cards, Falling Star. These are all Legends rares and different rares. Arabian Nights, Jazam de Jin, for the love of God. That card was like $2,500 as a mint 9. And now it's like selling for like $1,200 to $1,000, $1,400. Depending on when and where you can get it. I mean, the market has changed. And people don't understand, like, these things just can't keep rising forever. Eventually, people are going to be having those investments and be like, wow, I have a $1,000 bill, or I have a $1,500 bill, whatever you want to call it. Or I have a $150 bill, essentially. And you have, I can sell a bunch of these cards. I can go buy my kids some nice stuff. Or I can go pay off some college stuff. Or I can start saving for my future, actually. And that's going to be the case in the next upcoming year. In 2020, it's going to be more of the same stuff. I actually think it's going to be more. I think if you are a person that has cash, you should be ready to go, because next year is going to be a wild, wild ride. Forget the Lotus. Forget the Petals. Forget anything. This entire ride that we have is going to go crazy next year. And I guarantee you, if you do not have the cash ready to go for the wild ride, you're going to miss out on a fun volatility swing. And I'm predicting this. I'm not manipulating the market. I'm not going to be selling some random shit, whatever. I'm just guessing that there's going to be some wild swings on certain cards for sure, because honestly, there's no use for them to go up. I think there was a video that Rudy just had for Garthethian Silix, the Antiquities card. Don't know what rarity it is. It's a reserveless card. And some guy had like 120 or 140. I mean, I think Rudy said he has like 300 of them. I mean, shit, I must have like 10,000 of them. I don't have 10,000. But the thing is, I have a lot of them. And I mean, way over 100 plus. And it's like, what am I going to do with this card? I guess I could have sold some of it back when it was like $30, or I don't know. It went up to as high as $40. I don't know. But that's the thing. After you sell a few here and there, everybody next to their mom starts selling them and trying to, like, they got them for like a few bucks. So they're going to sell them for $30 or $40. Then no one ever buys them at $30, $40 because it's absolutely not a card people play with yet. And it is reserveless. But the speculation of reserveless has caused people to liquefy. Is that a word? They liquefy. That's not even used correctly. But liquefy their cards. And they have to. Because it might not seem a lot of money to some people, but $1,000 or $2,000 or $5,000. Let's say you had like 10,000 of these, 10,000 of these. And you basically had it at a, you got the Tempest version, obviously. You got them at a, $5 a pop. I don't know what they're going for now. Okay, so $5, 10,000 of these, $50,000, right? But let's say they move up a dollar or two, and you're up 10 grand or whatever. The problem with that is you have 10,000 of those to sell to make your 10 grand. And the transaction costs on all that and the time is absolutely beyond nuts. So your other options are selling on buy list, which are lower in some cases. And also there's condition involved. And eventually they're going to drop. The price is going to drop because after that much thousands and tens of thousands of other cards that are in the market of this card, let's say, the Lotus Petal, you essentially have a situation where you're just going to this supposed rise of increase of any card goes down. Now, Lotus Petal is not on the reserve list, but it gives you a clear example that if you try to buy a lot of something and try to sell it, it's not like in stocks where you can just buy like 1,000 shares and then just sell 1,000 shares for basically the same price, or as it rises, it has a higher demand because there's so many stocks and there's millions and millions of shares for stocks. There's so much interest in stocks. It's a worldwide thing. Everybody buys stocks. Not everybody buys magic cards or reserve list cards. And that's the problem. It's a speculation. So in the beginning of the video, I was talking about organic growth. That's why I'm saying that when you buy something, you have to buy it at a point where you can't just time market. It's okay if you bought a Jazam at $2,000 or you bought a Bazaar at $2,000 and now they're like $1,500 or $1,300, whatever it is. It's okay. The point is you have to establish an initial price point and then have some cash to buy them at the lower price point. In fact, if they're going down to $1,000 for Jazam or $700 or $800 at a mint condition, if it goes to that point, shit, I'm going to buy a ton more because at that point, it's like, dude, there's so many upswing at that price point. And you need to have the cash flow liquidity to be able to appreciate and get those appreciations. The same goes for you Alpha 40 guys buying Unsummoned and Control Magic is pretty expensive, or Dragon Whelps, or the Udinith Troll, the Fireballs, the Stream of Lives, the Mons Goblin Raiders, the Spell Blast, the Power Sinks, all these cards, right? They're Alpha 40 cards. And I think people were complaining that, they were once $25 a pop, $30 a pop. Now they're going down to like $10, $12. And it's hard to move some of them at higher price points. Yeah, absolutely. Those cards are not, even alpha cards are not immune to liquidity issues because a lot of those people, entry-level people, got into the cards at those prices. They bought the cheaper cards. They feel that, hey, and there's no problem with this. They feel like, yeah, I got $5,000. I'm going to buy a lot of $10 cards. I'm going to move up to 20 or 25. And then basically, I'm going to be able to sell some, make my money back, get some short trades, get some of the cards I need for my Alpha 40 deck or my collection, whatever, and then, call it a day. The problem is you're then left with a situation where there's people that are following the bandwagon thinking that, hey, if they weren't the first ones doing it, they're buying those alpha cards, assuming that they're going to make some money. And then lo and behold, the winter season comes, the worst time to sell. And then, they get frostbit. They can't sell them for what they were going for at their higher retail price. And a reason why those Alpha 40 cards also have a problem in terms of short-term selling is because they're not meant for that. They're meant for long-term gains. You have to have them for multiple years. There are Alpha cards that I have. Literally, I got for like 25 cents. Or I got for zero. Because they're just thrown in a part of a bigger deal. I've bought deals where they were back in the day for $1,000 and they're just, 30 Alpha Commons. You can have them, whatever. I don't care. You're buying $1,000, right? That's the way it was. That's the way the Wild West was back in the day for Alpha. Even some beta cards too, whatever, right? That's the way it works. And so what people understand is if you haven't experienced lower price points like during those times, and now they're going for higher points, you'll understand that I still buy them at these $10, $20, $30. But remember, I have so many of them. I've invested for so long that my price point is so much lower than most people. My buy price, my cost of goods for some of these. So the thing is, you can't always think about like, oh, Dan, you got lucky, yeah, you've right time, right place. You're right. You have to have timing, but it's also discipline. The key word is discipline. Everybody needs to shut up and realize, I'm saying shut up in a nice way. Shut up and look at yourself and realize that you cannot blame the market. You can't blame Rudy. You can't blame me. You can't blame finance people or old school magic. You gotta look at yourself. The financial reasons why that you're selling them and not having enough liquidity is you gotta start barking on the internet and start listening to yourself and like, man, what am I doing? Look in the mirror. Have I bought too many cards? Should I be having enough cash flow? Yeah, Daniel barks about having 6 months to a year. Yeah, this other non-magic investor, has talked about, oh yeah, rich dad, poor dad. They talk about how to have assets, not liabilities. Oh yeah, how about this self-help person or this person? Do I actually research and learn about how to invest? Do I understand how it takes in the real world, not just magic world? That's not how it works. You got to shut up and listen. You got to stop talking and barking and complaining about things. You need to start realizing the reason why you got to a certain point in your life and you have to liquidate anything. If you ever have to liquidate anything like magic cards, your car, if you have to liquidate your house, God forbid, your house, you have to liquidate your clothes, you have to stop buying luxury goods, stuff like that, and that's fine. You have to look at yourself, though, and be like, man, how did I get to this point? Why am I going to Starbucks all the time? Why am I buying all these unnecessary magic cards that I really don't need? Do I have the liquidity? Do I have the cash flow to become a magic investor? Do I really have that ability? Probably not. That's the problem. So that's all I got today. Finance Friday has been a little bit, I don't know, this topic heats me up because I always hear from the people all the time. They always want to advance to the Black Lotus. They want to buy, and this is a true parallel. They want to buy a Lotus Petal. Lotus Petal is like probably what? Less than $10, right? Whatever, okay? For a card from Tempest. Not the masterpiece. They want to buy the Lotus Petal, and they feel good because they want to buy, yeah, if I have 100 of these, it's going to cost me, 100 times 10, $1,000, let's say, right? So the moves to $15, I'm really making good money. It's better than a lot of stocks. But they never realize something. They never realize that even if it moves up to even $20 a card, it doesn't matter. The difficulty, the transaction costs, there's so many out there of these cards, for example, it will literally be pushed down. And that's the problem when you buy lower end entry level stuff, because you're going to get your price point gets pushed down when there's a rise. Unless it's so bullish, unless this card is like insanely powerful, insanely amazing that there's just so much incredible demand, then I would say, yeah, it's something you're going to make your $20, right? Easily, if not more. The problem is older cards aren't like that. Older cards are all about buying at dips, holding, selling at retail prices long term, maybe grading them, getting some nice quality grades, right? Sell them at 4, 5x, 10x, and maybe there's a really good grade. I don't know. That's the strategy. Slow and steady wins the race, not some ridiculous advance to the petal becomes like a Black Lotus. You think your Lotus Petal is going to become like a Black Lotus price one day? Honestly, it's better just to buy the Black Lotus. Forget the Lotus Petal. Have a good weekend, guys. Take care. Hey everyone, it's me, Daniel with VintageMagic.com. I want to share with you more about how we handle consignments. So to begin the consignment process, we actually need to start with the consultation service. In this consultation, I will determine what you're looking to do. And generally, consigners usually tell me, hey Dan, I'm looking to sell my items and maximize the value of their collection. After we determine through the consultation, I usually like to do an appraisal process. And an appraisal process in terms of a consignment is more fitted towards authenticity and valuation for current market values. From there, after a contract is crafted and signed, we will then receive the items from you.
The reason why our consignment process is very thorough is we also identify cards that could be graded so then they can maximize higher dollar values. So the payment process is very simple. Once we have sold your items, you'll get an updated ledger and we will process payment for whatever form of payment you need. As a consignor, you're gonna experience our white glove service. What that means is I'm gonna personally handle your collectibles from beginning to end. And rest assured, the client that purchases your collectibles will also receive the same white glove service. It's a signature service that I really pride myself on in working closely with my clients.
Vintage Magic. Game, collect, invest. For more information about our consulting and professional services, visit vintagemagic.com.